Hello everyone, welcome once again to my YouTube channel. My name is Benga Adeyemo. I'm a Microsoft certified trainer and I'm also a Power BI developer. I'm going to be diving into a very interesting topic today known as context transition. Now, what is context transition? Context transition is when a row value becomes a column filter. Now, I'm going to be showing you a very interesting example of how you can write your DAX expression in such a way that will modify the granularity of your tables. Let's dive straight into my screen. So guys, I am now in my Power BI desktop. Now, this is what I want to achieve. Now, to make you understand exactly what I want to do. So let me bring in my slicer. Now, in my slicer, I'm going to bring in my year column and my month name column from my calendar table, right? And I'm also going to bring in a matrix table, or I can just use the table chart, anyone, right? And I'm going to bring in the dates, right? And I'm going to bring in my total sales. Now, if I select a particular month in a year, I select December 2013, for example, it will give me all the dates in that December 2013. Now, I also bring in my total sales, that it has given me the total sales for each day that I have in this December 2013. Interesting. Now, I want to know the highest amount I've ever made in a day within the selected month and year that I have in my slicer. So if I click on here, it's going to sort it by the highest to the lowest, right? Now I now see that the date or the day I have the highest total sales amount is the 13th of December in 2013. Interesting. And the total sales for that day was 7,432.54. Now, what I want to achieve here is this. I have a matrix table and I'm going to bring in my year just like I did. And I'm also going to bring in my month name. I want my month name to be in rows so that I can be able to expand this here and see um all the different months that I have in these different years. I'm also going to bring in my total sales and drop that here. And my total sales measure has given me a breakdown of all the total sales for the different months in the different years that I have on this matrix table. Now, what I want to achieve is this. I want to see I want to write a measure, right, that will give me only the total sales, the highest total sales as per the day level in each month, right? Just like I have here. So I want to write a measure that will return only this 7432.54. Now, what I'm going to do now, I'm going to try out different ways, and I'm going to tell you the one that is right and the one that is wrong. And for the ones that are wrong, I'm going to tell you why they are wrong. So this is what I'm going to do now. I'm going to try out one first wrong method. Now, I'm going to come here and say new measure, and I'll say new measure, and I'll call it max sales in a day. I'll say max sales in a day, right? And I will use the iterator max x. I open my bracket. Since what I want is coming from the sales table, I take the sales table, and I also I want to be evaluated. I want it to evaluate the total sales measure that I have, right? And I close the bracket. I press enter, right? Now I'm going to drag this in to my matrix table. Now, what happened? Now let me open back the measure so you'll see what happened here. You'll see that it's returning the same figure for all the months in a particular year. Now, why is this expression, this expression wrong? It is wrong because what I'm doing here is that I'm telling it to evaluate total sales for each row in my transaction table, which is the sales table, right? The sales table is a transaction table, it's a physical table that has many rows. It means that one particular date in a month can appear multiple times. Because, for example, December 1 can appear multiple times. And this is because in that particular month, there might be, say, in a particular day, rather, there might be different customers that bought different products, whether in the same location or not in the same location, maybe at a particular time or at different times. So that might occur, right? Now, this is not actually modifying or changing the granularity level of the table in this DAX expression, right? It is not modifying the level of granularity that we want to achieve, right? So what is happening here is that it is not transitioning a proper filter context for us based on what we want to do. What we want to do is for it, what the logic behind this is that what we want is that for each date each date that appear in a month. If there are multiple times a particular date appear, it should sum up all the sales for that date, right? For each of the different dates that exist in that month, and give us the and return the maximum amount that we have in a day based on a distinct list of the dates in that month. That is exactly what we want to achieve. Now, so now get this. I'm going to change this my DAX expression now and change this part that says sales, right? Because this is not transitioning into a proper filter context for me. So what I'm going to do is to just put values. Now, what values we do here is that it's going to give us in relation to the sales table because we have an active relationship between the sales table and the calendar table, right? Now, what we want to achieve here is that instead of it evaluating total sales on the sales table, which is on a row by row, right, which has many rows, we are now going to use the calendar table as what is so the different uh, uh, months is what is now filtering the information that we have in the sales table. But the level of granularity is now what we want it to be at the day by day level. So we now say calendar dates is now going to come now, right? And I close my bracket here. I put a comma, right? Yeah. So now max X values calendar date. That is return for me a distinct list of all the dates, right? All the dates that I have in the different now when I now put this now in my matrix table, what will happen here is that it's going to perform that evaluation. It's going to apply or transition the proper filter context now, right? Because my level of granularity is at the day level, at the different dates, that is the distinct dates that appear in a particular month, right? So values, calendar date, then my total sales measure here. Then I press commit, right? And now to verify, you see that for December 2013 now, it's returning the same 7432.54 that I have here, right? So the values that I added to calendar dates here now is respecting the current filter context. It means that it's going to every date that I have in this month, in this different month I have in this matrix table, is going there and is summarizing it in such a way that if a particular date appears several times, it will sum up the total sales for that particular day and return each row now. It's not going to be like each row, one date per row, right? And give me the maximum in the range. So if I open my Excel file now to make you understand what I'm saying better, you will see that February 2 appeared two times here, right? So it will now sum up the values for the two times it appeared, right? And will now return 110 for me. And it will do that for every date that exists in February, for example. And it will now give me a maximum in the range of the first date that appear in that month to the last date that appear in that month and give me the maximum. So the maximum I've ever made in a day within that month, right, is what it will return for me. So some people might ask, they might say, you know what if I instead of using the measure, what if I write the expression that bets the measure, right? Which is the sum of the total selling price that I have in my sales table. So let's go back and see if that is going to actually work. So let me now say, I'm going to say sum of the total selling price that I have in my sales table, right? And I press enter. Now, what happened here is returning back the same total sales that I got initially. And that is not what I wanted to do, right? So this, if you want to spell out this expression in this way, what you need to do is to add the calculate, right, in front of the sum and close the bracket, and it's going to bring back what we initially had, right? Now you might wonder, why do I need to put the calculate? Since I already, it's the same thing if I just put my total sales measure or I spell out the sum, open bracket, sales, total selling price. Now don't forget that calculate enforces the filter context to happen because calculate is a modifier, right? So let's test out something for you to actually understand how calculate works. So let me create a column that is going to sum up the unit selling price. This is just an example. So I'll click on new column here now. I'm going to click on new column. I'm going to call that column, for example, let me just call it XXX. And it's going to be the sum of the unit selling price column that I have in my sales table. And I'll close the bracket and I press enter. Now, what happened here is that it's summing up, it's giving me back the results, right? Based on the sum of this column. It's returning the same thing for each of the row. Now, if I want it to return for me, right, the actual unit selling price for the different rows I have in this table, to enforce that uh, filter occur, right, I'm going to use calculate, right, in front of the sum and close the brackets. You see that now it will return row by row the actual. So this is this 2 decimal places is what I have in the original column, and you see that it has now returned back for me the actual figure for each of the row. So calculate is enforcing that filter context, the proper filter context to happen, right? So that's exactly what happened here, right? When I use the calculate in front of this in front of the sum, right, it understand or put it back to the proper filter context that is meant to be, right? So that is why you need to put calculate in front of sum. That is if you want to spell out the expression here instead of using the measure. So guys, I've come to the end of my today's video on context transition. Please don't forget to always like, share, and subscribe. Subscription is very important. Please subscribe to my channel so that I can be encouraged to create more content on Power BI, Excel, and other data tools. Thank you. Bye.